Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with the feeling that someone was in your room? That unexplainable certainty that you weren't alone? Vanessa ignored that feeling for weeks, and when she finally discovered the truth, it was too late. He already had hundreds of photos of her, photos of moments she thought were private. But the scariest part? He had a photo of her sleeping, taken from inside her apartment. This story will make you rethink every time you felt someone was watching you. And if you're alone right now, you might want to check if your door is locked before continuing, because what happened to Vanessa could be happening to you right this moment, and you haven't realized it yet. There are things our mind prefers to ignore, small details that, when we finally notice them, change everything. Vanessa was about to discover this in the worst possible way. She had moved into the apartment 3 months ago, a studio on the 5th floor of an old building downtown. Nothing fancy, but it had a large window overlooking the inner courtyard. It was quiet, perfect for someone who worked from home as a graphic designer. Her routine was always the same. She'd wake up at 7, make coffee, sit in front of the computer, positioned right next to the window. She'd work until noon, grab a quick lunch, get back to work until 6 in the evening, then a few hours of streaming and sleep, day after day, a predictable and safe life. Or at least that's what she thought. It all started with a feeling. You know that feeling of being watched? That tingling on the back of your neck? That inexplicable urge to look behind you? Vanessa started feeling this frequently, always during the day while she worked, always coming from the direction of the window. At first, she ignored it. She'd glance quickly at the inner courtyard, seeing only the other apartment windows around, some with curtains closed, others open, showing empty rooms. Nothing special, nothing that justified that persistent feeling. But the feeling didn't go away. Day after day, it got stronger. Vanessa started closing the curtains while she worked, but that made the apartment too dark, depressing. She needed natural light, so she'd open them again, and the feeling would return with them. It was on a Thursday afternoon that Vanessa decided to investigate for real. She grabbed binoculars she had stored away since a bird-watching trip years ago. She sat on the couch, away from the window where she couldn't be easily seen, and began examining each window around the inner courtyard. Most apartments seemed empty during the day, people working outside probably. Some had curtains permanently closed, others showed common interiors, a bookshelf, a television, plants on the windowsill. And then she saw it. In the building across, 2 floors below hers, there was a window with curtains partially open. And there, sitting in a chair positioned directly facing the courtyard, was a man. He was holding something in his hands. Vanessa adjusted the binoculars' focus. It was a camera. A large professional camera with a telephoto lens, and it was pointed exactly in the direction of her window. If you're already feeling that chill down your spine, hit that like button right now, because the story only gets more disturbing from here. And trust me, you'll want to remember this video later. Vanessa's heart raced. She lowered the binoculars, took a deep breath, tried to calm down. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe he was a photographer documenting the building's architecture, or maybe he was photographing birds. There were some that landed on the courtyard edges. She looked through the binoculars again. The man was still there, motionless, the camera pointed upward, at her window. Vanessa could see part of his face now. He was about 40, maybe. Dark hair, a bit disheveled, neutral expression, almost bored, as if this was just another day at work for him. Vanessa stepped away from the window, her heart still racing. She needed to think clearly. What to do? Call the police? And say what exactly? That a man had a camera in his own home? That wasn't illegal, not necessarily. She decided to observe him over the following days, note the times, the patterns, collect evidence before doing anything. On Friday, he was there again, same time, same position, same camera. Vanessa worked with the curtains closed all day, occasionally peeking through a small gap. The man remained at the window from 9 in the morning until 6 in the evening, with only a half-hour break around noon. Saturday, same pattern. Sunday, the same. Vanessa began to feel the real weight of the situation. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't a coincidence. That man was deliberately watching her apartment, or watching her, for hours every single day, like a full-time job. She tried changing her routine, working in other parts of the apartment, away from the window, but the apartment was small, and she needed the desk near natural light to work properly. Her eyes tired too quickly with artificial light. It was on Monday that Vanessa noticed something new. When checking the man's window in the morning, she saw that there was something different on the wall behind him. Photos, several photos pinned to the wall. She adjusted the binoculars, trying to see better. Her stomach turned. They were photos of Vanessa. Photos of Vanessa at the window, Vanessa working, Vanessa drinking coffee, Vanessa stretching, Vanessa on the phone. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, covering the entire wall behind the chair where he sat, organized chronologically, like a project, like a documented obsession.
Vanessa's hands shook so much she almost dropped the binoculars. This was no longer just disturbing. This was a systematic obsession. She needed to do something, now. Vanessa grabbed her phone and called the police. She explained the situation, trying to keep her voice calm. The operator was polite, but not particularly alarmed. She said she'd send a patrol car to file a report, but warned that without direct threat or proven invasion of privacy, there was little they could legally do. 2 hours later, 2 officers showed up. Vanessa explained everything again, showed them the window. The man was still there with the camera. The officers took notes, took photos, said they would talk to the man. When they left, Vanessa watched. She saw the officers entering the building across. She waited. 15 minutes later, she saw lights turning on in the man's apartment. She saw the officers talking to him. The man gestured, explained something. He seemed calm, even friendly. He even smiled at some point. The officers left. Half an hour later, one of them called Vanessa. He said they had talked to the resident, a man named Robert Silva. He claimed to be an amateur photographer, was documenting urban life through courtyard windows. He said he had no intention of harassing anyone, that his photos were artistic, part of a project about modern isolation. The officers warned him about privacy, but since he was inside his own home and no specific laws were being violated, they couldn't do anything more. Vanessa hung up the phone, feeling even more vulnerable than before. Now he knew she had complained. He knew she was bothered. He knew that she knew, and still he could continue. That night, Vanessa could barely sleep. Every sound in the building made her jump. Every shadow on the wall seemed threatening. She got up several times to check if all doors and windows were locked. She placed a chair against the door, checked under the bed, inside the closet. On Tuesday morning, exhausted, Vanessa opened the curtains to let the light in. She looked at Robert's window. He wasn't there. The chair was empty. For the first time in days, Vanessa felt slight relief. But then she noticed something. On the wall behind the empty chair, where there had been dozens of photos before, now there was only one, a large, enlarged photo, occupying the space where there had been an entire collection. Vanessa grabbed the binoculars with trembling hands. It was a photo of her sleeping, taken from inside her apartment. Vanessa dropped the binoculars. Her entire body began shaking uncontrollably. He had entered her apartment. While she slept, he had been there, next to her bed, inches away, photographing her. How long did he stay there? What else did he do? Did he touch her things? Did he touch her? She ran to the door, checked the lock, the chains, the doorknob. Everything was intact. No signs of break-in. How had he gotten in? She checked the windows, all locked from inside, exactly as she had left them. The phone rang. Vanessa jumped, her heart almost leaping out of her chest. She looked at the screen. Unknown number. She didn't want to answer, but part of her needed to know. She answered with a trembling hand. Silence on the other end, just breathing, slow, calm, controlled. Then a male voice, calm, almost soft, almost gentle. "You sleep so peacefully, Vanessa. You didn't even move when I adjusted your blanket." She hung up immediately, the phone falling from her hand. She grabbed her keys, her purse, and ran out of the apartment. She went down the stairs without waiting for the elevator, her legs almost giving out at every step. 4, 3, 2 flights of stairs. She burst through the front door, almost tripping. On the street, she finally stopped, breathing with difficulty. People passed by normally, going to work, talking on phones, drinking coffee, oblivious to the terror she felt. The world kept spinning, while hers was falling apart. Vanessa called the police again. This time, with the phone call and the photo from inside the apartment, they took it more seriously. They promised to send a team to investigate immediately. They told her not to return to the apartment alone, to go to a safe place, to stay with someone. She spent the day at a friend's house, Julia, explaining everything that had happened. Julia was horrified, hugged Vanessa, insisted she stay there as long as necessary, weeks, months, whatever she needed. That evening, the police called. They had gone to Robert's apartment. He wasn't there. The door was locked. Neighbors said they hadn't seen him since yesterday afternoon, right after the police visit. They had obtained an emergency warrant to enter his apartment. What they found was disturbing but revealing. The wall was indeed covered with photos of Vanessa, hundreds of them, every moment of the day documented, working, eating, sleeping, getting dressed, some taken from impossible angles that could only be captured from inside her apartment. There were also notes, times, routines, behavioral patterns, like a scientific study, like a meticulous project. But there were also photos of other women, at least 5 different women, each with her own section on the wall, each with hundreds of photos, each documented with the same methodical obsession. All residents of the same building complex, all working from home, all with windows facing the inner courtyard. And there was a notebook, pages and pages of notes about each of them, full names, addresses, routines, preferences, fears, everything observed, everything recorded. But they didn't find Robert. He had disappeared. The investigation into Robert Silva continues to this day. Police discovered that wasn't his real name. It was a fake identity, built